Hello again, and good to see you. Today I have quite a simple little greyhound strategy for you. This one's quite simple. It's looking at the top two favourites in the market, um, and it does tend to work reasonably well, but it does require a little bit of work on a daily basis just to make it run in a profitable manner. If it's left to its own devices, not really going to do as well. In fact, if it's left to its own devices, I'd be surprised if it turned a profit over the long term. Whereas with just a couple minutes a day, it should be looking reasonably good. Now, one thing I do like about greyhound racing is some of the tracks. There's a microphone near the boxes. As the dogs are about to take off for the race, you can hear them getting very excited and barking, and my two dogs, Pebbles and Shiley, tend to enjoy seeing and hearing that as well, much more than they do enjoy singing happy birthday. It was Shiley's birthday the other day, and no, the fires on the cake is not their favourite thing at all. But the food afterwards, yes. Hearing the dogs on the TV when the greyhound races are on, yeah, they enjoy that, but not singing to fires on the cake. So let's go and have a look at the greyhound strategy and see what's happening in the software. So here we are, we're in the Stopper to Winner Greyhound Deluxe software once again, and we're looking at Dutching the top two favourites in the race. Now, this, as I said, fairly simple strategy. I've been running it, testing on fairly low staking. You can see the target I've been working with is 5 cents per race, which is tiny. But the interesting thing is, on a daily basis, this tends to be able to make about 100 times whatever your base stake is. So base stake here of 5 cents per race target, over a day it tends to be able to make about $5. And that's relatively scalable. I mean, I wouldn't suggest that if you had your base stake here at $100 per race that you could make $10,000 a day. There wouldn't be enough liquidity in the market to do that. But certainly it can go a reasonable amount higher than 5 cents, I think. In some cases, you could probably go to maybe $1 per race and be looking at maybe $100 a day. I do think in some markets you'd start to have issues with liquidity in the market and difficulty getting matched, but it is scalable. So the 5 cents that I've been working with just to demonstrate things is just a guide. Now, with this, as I said, we're looking at Dutching the top two runners in the market. Now, I'm looking at races across Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. And I'm looking for races where there's at least $5,000 Australian in the market. That'd be about 2,500 British pounds. Not too fussed about how many runners are in the race, just as long as the favourite is not odds on. It's somewhere between $2 and $4. If it's over $4, I don't consider it a favourite. It's not really worth bothering with. The second favourite needs to be also above $2. I mean, it's always going to be above $2, but it needs to be less than $6. Now, this is going to get you into most races. You could tighten this a bit if you wanted to, bring the maximum for the first runner down to, say, $3, and for the second runner down to maybe $4 or $5. That would reduce the number of races that you're in. Probably wouldn't affect the strike rate much. The only thing it would really do would be reduce the amount of profit you could possibly make in the day. I don't think it would reduce your risk at all, really. Now, those of you not familiar with Dutching, let me just explain the concept here. So, Dutching is the process of betting on multiple runners in the race to achieve a set profit amount. So, the amount that you would bet on each runner would vary depending on the odds available. Now, this is a race coming up, first race of the day in New Zealand. The favourite here is at $2.32. The second favourite's at $3.05. So it actually would be within the criteria for this strategy. Now, just to demonstrate this, and this is taking commission into account, this screen, incidentally. So, you know, dollar stake on something running at $2.32. Well, you'd think that should make a $1.32 profit, but we're taking Betfair commission into account here. So you're looking at more likely $1.19. If I instead take that dollar and I bet the top two, well, I could get 29 cents profit regardless of which one wins, just by having different amounts. So 57 cents bet on number 3, 43 cents bet on number 1. If we just switch this to saying we want a particular amount of profit, in this case, let's go with what we're actually looking at for the strategy. So if we were looking to make 5 cents profit out of the race, well, we'd bet 11 cents on the favourite, we'd bet 8 cents on the second favourite. If either of them win, we make 6 cents. If they lose, if neither of them win, well, obviously we've lost our bet, but if either of them win, we make 6 cents. This has a strike rate of about 57%. Day in, day out, that doesn't vary by much. Sometimes it's 55, sometimes it's 60. About 57 seems to be about right. Australia and the UK, there's no difference in the strike rate on this. So hence the reason I'm running it Australia, New Zealand, UK. There's just no difference in the strike rate between the countries. The top two favourites in greyhounds internationally tend to, more often than not, be the winner of the race. So in this case, target here is 5 cents per race, and it is a stop at a winner system. So if we have a loss on a race, the bet size will increase for the next one. I last reset this early this morning, so it's doing okay in tab 1. It's, you can see 48 cents profit in tab 1. Tab 2, on the other hand, is down a little bit at the moment because the last few races have not gone well. This race at Doncaster, both selections lost. You can see the amount bet on those 5 cents and 4 cents. The next race, bets of 19 cents and 15 cents. The next race, bets 60 cents and 37 cents. So I'm still waiting for that to recover to a winning position there. Now the settings I have on this in terms of the profit targets and the stop loss and profit limits, I'm not running a profit limit. I am per tab. So you can see I've got on this 5 cents, I've got 5 cents per race. I've got $2 set as my target per tab. The continue box is not checked. So if a tab reaches that $2, it stops betting. The system moves on to just choosing the next tab as its primary tab. The reason I do that is for this very situation here. Tab 1 is the primary tab. It's had more bets than anything else, so naturally it's getting more winners. Tab 2 has had fewer bets, so it may get stuck on a bit of a run of losses. If tab 1 is doing quite well, it might as well just take its profit. We might as well just move on to tab 2 and let it have a better chance at getting the wins and then getting into the profitable position. There's $5 profit target overall. As I said, most days this is getting about 100 times whatever the base target is. So this isn't a hard target. It reaches this, it will continue. It's here mainly just as a reminder. There's also a stop loss in place at then 400 times the base target, so $20 in this case. Now this is where the requirement for actually doing some work with this on a daily basis comes in, because this stop loss will get hit. I've been running tests on this for a couple of weeks and I've hit stop loss twice in that time. So it's come close a few other times. It's inevitable that stop losses will be hit with this system. It's going to happen. What's important is that you're able to recover from it, and that's where a little bit of work each day comes into play. So this graph here is 8 days worth of bets without changing settings. to just leaving the targets as they are. And you can see that there were some fairly consistent ups, but some stop losses were hit along the way, and it then sort of continued on. It happened to be 2 days in a row with stop losses. At the end of the 8 days, it is still sitting just below breaking even. With a little bit of work each day, you can see where the system is up to and instead get a result a bit more like this. Now what I'm doing here is checking where the system is up to at the end of each day, and if it's made a profit for the day, then that's wonderful. We'll just reset and start from scratch the next day and continue on. Happily just continuing on. If it has made a loss in the day, then the staking and the targets get, and the stop loss as well for that matter, gets increased by 1 times whatever the base stake is. So in this case, from 5 cents we go to 10 cents. And all of the other targets and stop losses increase accordingly. So the $20 stop loss becomes 40, for example. Now, if a day makes a profit in that way, then we'll stay at that level until the system overall is back above where it was. If the day makes another loss, then we increase another step again. And once again, as long as the days are making profit per day, the staking doesn't increase. Once the system is back in profit overall, then we come back down to the original staking. So this here shows the difference between just letting it run and doing a little bit of work each day to adjust the targets and the stop loss level. So day one was a good day, made $3.47. Now that's not the $5 that I said it generally made per day, but I did start that day about halfway through the day, so it wasn't quite a full day, hence the reason it didn't quite make a full day's profit. Day two made $8.17, meaning after that it was up $11.64. Day three is where the trouble began, a loss of $20.04, so overall now down $8.40. So without changing targets at all, after 8 days you end up down $2.21. If we do some work and actually change the targets on a daily basis, after 8 days we can be up $19.60. So this day here, day 3, was a down day, so day 4, if we change the targets to double whatever that original level was, well, day 4 was a down day as well, unfortunately, so we lose $42.14 there. We're down a fair bit by this stage. Day 5 rather, because day 4 was down, day 5 goes to 3 times. Well, then we start having profitable days again. So up 21.72. Now that's fine, that's good. So we stay at 3 times for the next day, because these 3 days, we're still down $40.46 overall over those 3 days. So we stay at 3 times for the next day, we make $17.70. For that series we're still at $22.76 down. Next day we make $17.85, still at 3 times, so we're getting closer, $4.91 down. And then day 8, make $24.51. Well, that puts us $19.60 above where we started day 3. So we can come back down to 1 times for the next day and start a new multiplier series from there. So what would that look like in the software? Well, this number here would change from 5 to 10 cents or to 15 cents. The profit per tab would go from 2 to 4, or 4 to 6, etc. You get the drift, I think. Yeah, the profit all tabs goes from 5 to 10. The stop loss goes from 20 to 40.
The bet, the odds ranges don't change, the minimum matched doesn't change. Just these values here.
Now, there is one other way of approaching this that looks like it would work. It still runs the risk of hitting a stop loss, but it does seem to be a little bit more consistent in turning a profit on a daily basis. It tends to hit the stop loss a little bit less often, and that is to set a hard target per day at about half what I'm currently looking at. So instead of that $5, set a hard target at $2.50. When I looked through results over the course of, I've shown you 8 days worth of testing in those graphs, but I actually have about 2 weeks worth of testing. It just didn't seem like much point showing you more days that looked exactly the same. Pretty much each day it manages to hit the $2.50 target about halfway through the day. So if you wanted to, instead of expecting it to make it about 100 times the base target per day, you could set a hard target at $50 times the base target per day, and that, I didn't see a day where it hit a stop loss doing that, and that's over 2 weeks of testing. Now, I expect it probably would still hit a stop loss at some stage, but doing so less often, you might find there's actually no need. If you do that, there might not be any need to do any escalation of targets.
So to set a hard target there, fairly straightforward. You'd set the value of the target you want overall in this stop at profit all tabs. So we'd change that to, in this case, we'd change that to $2.50 and untick the continue button. And once you do that, once the bot reaches $2.50, it would stop for the day. You would need to close and reopen the bot in order to get it to run again. In fact, on a daily basis, even if you aren't having a hard target here, because you will have tabs that will have finished their job, you do still need to close and reopen. I'd suggest clear as well, otherwise it's going to think it's still at its targets. But clear, close and reopen on a daily basis, unless you really do just want to leave it running consistently without making any changes at all. But I think if you do that, you're going to struggle to turn a profit. Yeah, a few minutes worth of work each day is a good way to make sure you actually are working towards a profit.
So that's a fairly simple and straightforward strategy. It just takes a few minutes a day of management to get the best out of it. But it seems to be a fairly reasonable strategy. I'm testing a few other strategies as well, so I'll certainly hope to be able to bring you something else of interest in the near future. But in the meantime, this one's in the Stop at a Winner Greyhound software, so the link to that, of course, in the description below. And I look forward to seeing you again sometime soon.